Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we are making a really simply but absolutely lovely whipped cranberry orange body butter. The bulk of this body butter is a combination of mango butter and cranberry seed oil. I've chosen mango butter as our soft butter, which really provides the structure of the body butter. So I've chosen that because it's got a really lovely dry touch finish. It's sometimes referred to as a drying butter, not because it dries the skin out, but because, when you rub it into the skin, it leaves the skin feeling dry rather than oily or greasy, which some butters can. If you're familiar with shea butter, which is often a butter people get before they get mango butter, it's a lot easier to find, but it is a lot heavier and greasier than mango butter. So I've chosen mango butter because it leads to a product that has a lot nicer skin feel. Generally speaking, kind of find most people prefer not to be oily. So yeah, mango butter. We're then softening that mango butter with some cranberry seed oil. So it has this really lovely sort of fruity, tangy scent, which does come through in the end product. And it also contributes the color to this body butter. So that's why it's this really lovely sort of soft, yellowy hue. Those two ingredients really do form the bulk of the formulation at 98.5%. We're topping it up to 100% with some vitamin E, which is an antioxidant, which helps the body butter last longer by delaying the onset of rancidity, and a touch of orange essential oil or a fragrance of your choice. This body butter is pretty easy to make, but you will want to give yourself a day or so to pull it together, simply so you have the time to let it really settle at room temperature and check to make sure it's the consistency that you want before you package it up. If you would like more information on troubleshooting or adjusting this formulation for your ambient temperature, please make sure you are reading the blog post, which is linked in the description box below. There's also lots of other really useful information in the blog post, including links to places to buy all of the ingredients, information on substitutions, scaling, shelf life, and a whole lot more. But come on, let's get started. We'll begin by combining the ingredients for our heated oil phase in a single bowl. And so you want to make sure you're choosing a bowl that is heat resistant so that we can melt everything in it, but also one that has relatively deep sides so that you can whip the body butter in it. So I'm going to be using a single beater from an electric mix master, and I know from experience that this fits very nicely in this little bowl. So in this bowl here, we already have 14.2 grams of cranberry seed oil, and to that I'm going to add 25.2 grams of mango butter. To melt everything together, we're going to pop this bowl in a water bath. So this is a small saucepan that has about 1 inch or 3 centimeters of water in the bottom of it. And I'm going to go put this on the stovetop over medium heat to melt everything through. Once the heated phase and the base for our whipped body butter has melted, you can remove your pan from the heat and remove the body butter. So now we need this to set up a bit. So I'm going to pop it in the freezer for 10 minutes. And I find that with this batch size, I pop it in the freezer for about 10 minutes, but take it out at the 5-minute mark and kind of give it a little bit of a swirl. Pop it back in the freezer. So 10 minutes total, but give it a swirl halfway through. All right, so after 10 minutes with a quick midpoint swirl, this has definitely started to set up, but you can see the color is not uniform, and once I kind of break through there, it's definitely going to be a little gooey in the middle, harder on the edges, but once we get in there and blend it, it will sort of all get to about the same level of hardness, coolness as everything else, which is exactly what we want. So I'm going to get our blender in here and blend away. So that was maybe a minute. You can see that this is definitely still pretty liquidy, though it is starting to thicken and cool. I find that after this point, we don't need to put it back in the freezer sort of time. We'll get it to where we want it to be with some whipping, but I'm just taking the time now to scrape down the sides and make sure the bottom and everything is all incorporated in there. The bowl is still quite cool to the touch, and so that'll be helping cool the body butter down as well. But with that all scraped down, I'm going to keep whipping it. So that was about another 2 minutes of blending, and I don't know how well it came across on camera, but I noticed within the first 30 seconds of starting to blend again after stirring it and scraping down the sides that we really started to gain quite a lot of viscosity. So I'm scraping down the sides again. You can see some little bits like this one here. definitely a little kind of thicker and chunkier than the bulk of the body butter, so that's why we scrape down and then we re-whip to make sure everything is getting lots of attention. So we've got some really lovely kind of marshmallowy soft peaks here, which is just gorgeous. So for our next step, I'm going to leave this to make sure it's fully settled at room temperature before we whip it again, and we can incorporate at that point in time. I mean, we could do it now, but I'm not planning on whipping it again, so it's just easier to wait until we're going to whip it again. We can add our scent, our essential oil or fragrance oil, and our antioxidant, our vitamin E. But yeah, I will see you in a while. Okay, so it has been about 3 hours, and this is definitely set up a bit. I took the beater out of the machine and just kind of tipped it in here for storage, and yeah, you can see definitely set up a bit. So this does need to be re-whipped, but kind of once you get in there, you can see it is still fairly soft. So we're going to give this another beating, and then we're going to add our fragrance or essential oil and our antioxidant. So for our cool down phase, you're going to need 0.2 grams vitamin E oil and 0.4 grams orange essential oil or a fragrance of your choice, and I am using Cranberry Salsa from Rustic Essentials, which is a really lovely choice for this cranberry orange theme. And there we go. How gorgeous is that? So at this point in time, we can package it up. For packaging, I'm going to use this clear glass jar with a screw top that I kind of found when I was recently going through all the packaging I have, which is way more packaging than any single human being should own. And thought, hey, that looks about perfect, but it means I have no idea where it came from at this point in time, as I think I've probably had it somewhere for at least 5 years. So when you're packaging a whipped body butter, make sure you're, relatively gentle. We just spent a bunch of time and whatnot whipping a bunch of air in there, so you don't want to just squish that all out right away. It looks like this jar is probably a little bigger than I really needed for this batch. But yeah, there you go. We just made some gorgeous cranberry orange whipped body butter. If you want to see one that has been sort of sitting undisturbed for a while, here we are. So you can see that it is gorgeous and soft and lovely and all the good things, even after, after not having been just whipped, which is of course exactly what we want when we are working with whipped body butter. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and please make sure you are checking out the description box below this video and clicking through to find this formula on my blog, where you'll find a lot more information about it, including links to places to buy all the ingredients, information on substitutions, scaling, shelf life, and a whole lot more. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.